This is the collision of common sense and comedy. This is Defenders Live.
What makes you so sure that your life is worth more than those people out there on the ice? Is it the money? The accident of birth? Puts you inside that big fancy house?
I help move this country forward. I move this empire forward.
Human progress isn't measured by industry. It's measured by the value you place on a life. An unimportant life. A life without privilege. The boy who died on the river, that boy's value is your value. That's what defines an age. That's what defines a species.
What a beautiful...
So, I played that for a reason, of course. I was watching Doctor Who. In case you didn't know, that was from Doctor Who. I was watching that in the car the other day, waiting for my kids to get off school. And he said that little speech. And it really, like, I've never really been taken too far aback like that before. Not very often, and not in a TV show. But I really started thinking hard about what he was saying. The measure of progress is on the value we place on life. An unimportant life. A life without privilege. Now, I argue that part of that little privilege statement he was using was attempted to be woke and everything else. But he posed a good point, though. What kind of a value do we place on life now? Like right now. Let's think about this for a minute. Black suspects killed a handyman because they wanted to kill a white person, according to police. Texas hospital performed sex change procedures on children as young as 11. A pro-abortion women celebrating sterilizing themselves after Roe v. Wade with picnics and cookies, saying it's the only way they can protect themselves. A 14-year-old male is accused of killing or kicking a 35-year-old man in the head as accomplices call the victim a cracker. How is that a value of life? We, as a society, as humanity, as people, anger is so prominent in everything. We are mad at everyone and everything, and we blame everyone and everything for all of our problems and all of our situations. We have no value on life at all. We are at a point where if you don't agree with me, then you're the enemy. You're the problem. You're the one that has to get gone. We have to eliminate you or be beaten into submission. How do we have a value on life anymore? Those were just headlines that are just basic headlines of what's going on just in the past week. It's incredible that we're having to deal with this stuff. We're facing this stuff. That this is where we're at right now. That we we don't. I've said this for a long time. We don't value life. We don't, and in any level, we don't have respect for one another. We don't care about each other's situations. We don't care about where we've come from, the things that we've gone. We literally take everybody at the moment that we see them, and that's it. That's where we gauge everything. That's where everything goes, and that's it. Every one of us has got a story. Every one of us has history. Every one of us has dealt to one level or another with pain and with loss. We've all been picked on. We've all been made fun of. We've all had bad situations happen to us. And instead of being understanding, instead of trying to show compassion, to try and bridge gaps and whatever you want to call it, we take these little snippets of moments that we see and meet people, and that's all we go with. Like, it gets to the point where it's the insanity is just too much. A North Dakota man accused of fatally running down, not running over, because that would sound like an accident. Running down, that's intentional. A teen in his car, then blaming his actions on a supposed political dispute, will no longer face a murder charge. Isn't that great? He ran the kid over, ultimately, because he thought he was Republican. We have got to stop. We've got to stop this. Everything to one value or another. We don't value human life to the extent that we have no problems with abortion. We have no problems killing an unborn child for the sake of convenience because I'm not ready to be a mother. We don't protect the children that do make it out alive, because if they decide for one weird reason or another that they're not the gender that they claim to be, or that they were born at birth, then parents go through and let's do puberty blockers, and let's do changes, surgeries, and all kinds of other things. Let's just lop these things off. Let's put you through all this stuff because, we care so much, right? The measure of human progress, or human progress, is measured on the value placed on a life. And right now, that value is less than zero. There was a stretch there for a while where I was very much enjoying being on Twitter. I liked getting in the middle of arguing with people. I liked getting in there and being snarky and saying my little comments and blah, blah, blah. I've kind of stepped away from Twitter. I mean, I'll still pop on every now and again, but I've stepped away. And I'll still use it, obviously, as best I can. Once I can get it properly working here for the show, I'll go back to doing that so I can read your comments live. I do miss that. But I've stepped away from it as an actual source of anything, because I got tired of all the anger. And anger that is ignorant at best. On most topics, on almost everything, it's ignorant at best. It's intentional societal destruction at worst. I couldn't do it anymore, and I can't do it anymore. I had, and I don't know how their true feelings were, but I got a text today from some place, I don't know. But apparently, according to their records, and I don't know where their records come from, but according to their records, my name was Wayne, and I was a Democrat, and they were asking me if I was interested in running for office, local office, because, you know, they want to push and to win and whatever. And usually when I get those, I kind of ignore them. But I always respond back, you know, hey, I'm not this person, you know, whatever. Almost like we used to do with you know, telemarketers and whatnot, you know, take me off your list. I'm not that dang, whatever. And I sent back, I was like, I'm very much interested in running for local office, but I am neither Wayne nor a Democrat, and just left it there. And I actually got a response. The person came back and was like, hey, I'm sorry, your records must be mixed up. I'm so sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. And I sent back, hey, no worries. Good luck in finding your search. You know, hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Now, I don't know what their reaction truly was. But I am so sick and tired of the anger that's going on. I don't want to add to it anymore. Now, I'll call out when something is wrong, and I will stand firm and say this is wrong. But I'm tired of the infighting. I'm tired of the insanity. It's the best way. I know I keep saying that word over and over again, but that's all it is. That's what it has to be. It can't. I don't know what else to call it. We are hating each other and making accusations and saying things over stuff. We have no idea what we're talking about half the time. We don't know what we're talking about. We don't have the full information. We're just literally going by what we're given, which 9 times out of 10 usually tends to be wrong, because there's no such thing as an unbiased media anymore. Everything is tainted to one side or another. Even the ones who desperately claim to be untainted and unbiased have a bias. We haven't gotten straight news in a long time. So we're getting partial information. We're picking up on things that we want to hear, if we give and get that much. And then we're running off going, oh, well, this is what this is, and gung-ho. I'm so tired of it. And again, that line, I've played that clip over and over and over again. And I will admit that I kind of was surprised to have found it on a show from the BBC that actually during this time, this was the, in case you weren't aware of it, and not a weirdo like me, this was the section, this was the point in Doctor Who where they started getting woke, as it were. The companion running around with him was not quite transgender. She very much appeared to be as a woman. She used the pronouns she and her, whatever. But she was into girls, and her name was Bill. So I don't know how to take that. But that was the start of that show becoming, very woke and very, on that side of things. But to hear that kind of a statement being made, I wasn't expecting it. And it has been rattling in my head all week. I mean, I think I saw it Monday, Tuesday, somewhere around in there. And like I said, it's is more powerful. It makes more sense. It's more profound now than ever, I think, because we don't value life. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with someone. There's nothing wrong with, to a degree, arguing about what's going on or what the situation is. But there is a problem when you start losing the fact that each person has, to a degree, a reason for why they think and act and do what they do. You are who you are based off of the experiences that happened to you, just as the person across from you that you might be disagreeing with. At the end of it, though, they're still a human being. And life would be so much better if we would just start putting value back into human life. If we valued life as much as we valued winning, and what I mean by winning is, in this instance from a, political side, then humanity would be in a great place. The world would be in a great place. But we don't. We don't value life. The only life that's important at the end of it all is ours, and it's something that's got to change. Because if we don't, the history books are going to be looking at us as the failures. We're going to be the reason why several generations down the road, they're going to be cleaning up all this mess if there's a society left. I don't know. Like I said, that having heard that line, that little speech, having heard all that, and it's been stuck with me, I wanted to start this show off with that. To challenge you, if you're listening to this, doesn't matter who's listening, doesn't matter why you're listening. We need to start treating each other with respect. We need to start treating people as people. That doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything. It doesn't mean that you have to condone everything that's going on. It doesn't mean you have to be a part of everything that's going on, but be respectful. Treat each other like people. Treat each other like you would like to be treated. You might be surprised on what we find happens. You might be. I don't know. I mean, it gets insane. It gets incredibly asinine with the stuff going on. Around 2:30 on a Monday afternoon, an unidentified family group was strolling around Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Once inside the Magic Kingdom, the family decided to take a group photo in front of a sign and decorative garden arrangement marking Disney's 100th anniversary, which the park is celebrating throughout 2023. However, the family soon had a problem. A larger family had stepped into the same spot, preventing the first family from taking the photo of just themselves. According to reports, the first family asked the second family to kindly step aside during the photo, but the man in the second family responded to the request by decking a member of the first family in the face. Within seconds, members of both factions broke out into fist fight with incoherent shouting and foul language. Someone called the cops. The park employees requested backup as they rushed over to the scene to try and separate the two camps. As so often happens these days, area bystanders quickly pulled out their cell phones and captured the brawl on video and then shared it to social medias. Again, we could point at all these problems as being, a racial thing, black on white crime. We can start looking at the not respect of life. When you talk about what they're doing kids with this whole transgender thing and pushing this stuff on these children, we can talk about it from, just abortion side of it. It's all there. That's very clear and obvious. Even the political thing where the guy ran over the kid because he thought he was Republican and blah, 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 blah. We're at a point now where we can't even have enough respect for another person to be able to allow them to take a picture. you can't stoop lower. I'm sorry. You really can't at that point. A literal picture in front of it. That's it. We're here, cheese, and walk away. We are so hateful and angry. It's all about us. It's all about us as individuals. Screw the next guy. There's no value of life there. The guy wouldn't have decked him. Why? Because he would have valued that person's life. I get really frustrated when it comes to stuff this simple, this obvious, this clear. Why is this so hard? Why is it so hard to treat someone else like you would like to be treated? I don't understand it. And what's worse is I sit here behind this microphone. It's been 20-something minutes now that I've been ranting about this. One, feeling like I'm going in circles. To a degree, feeling like I'm rambling. Because to me, this is so simple. And yet, we've made it as hard as humanly possible. Nigh impossible to do. God forbid that we have even a modicum of respect for somebody, regardless of the situation. And I can understand if someone's being a straight douche to you, if someone's treating you like crap, I understand that that's a very hard thing to try and not be a douche back. But you know what? As dumb as the analogy is, and I'm tired of hearing it being said, at least maybe I'm saying it, I don't know. The whole two wrongs don't make a right. If you fight fire with fire, the whole world burns. All of these things are true, and they're right, and they make sense. Why, in God's name, is it so damn hard to actually do? Why do I feel like I'm the only person who takes a moment and goes, it's not worth it? I've got bigger things to do. I can't anymore. I can't. Because we're at a point where this is all bad stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If we continue to allow this to go on, we continue to allow this hatred, this lack of respect, this lack of value on human life to continue, there won't be human life left. There won't. It's not that hard. It really isn't. But we can't stop. It all over the place. Even at Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, or whatever. You're going to get into a fight because they didn't move. The first family who was taking the picture originally, as much as it is irritating and mad, could have said, all right, guys, let's just wait. We'll wait. I know we were here first, but we'll wait. It's not a big deal. It's a picture. The second family could have said, hey, they're taking a picture. Let's wait our turn. We're so damn selfish. We're so concerned about ourselves that they broke into a fight. We have got to do better. A lot better. Or there won't be any better left at all. There's more. I know it is. There's more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
In today's troubled world, our USA Armed Forces stand ready to protect you, your family, and our American way of life. When veterans return to civilian life, they deserve your recognition and support. You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van to Patriotic Hearts. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle, running or not. Operators are standing by to answer questions about making a tax-deductible vehicle donation. Find out how you can make a difference in the life of a United States veteran. Call 800-209-6482 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-6482. 800-209-6482. That's 800-209-6482.
This is Defenders Live.
I hate it when that happens. Went and deleted the wrong daggone window. Anyway, while I'm looking for this, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for listening, everybody over watching on the YouTubes. So glad that y'all are over there hanging out. Sorry I can't keep up with the one computer. It's really hard to go back and forth and try and answer stuff and everything else. I thank you for being there. I appreciate it. A lot of stuff will get probably answered, or I see you. Let's just put it that way. I see you. I know you're there. Follow us on all social medias at DOAE Show. Use the hashtag ArmYourselves. I did see, while I'm trying to search for this thing, that there was that Barbara D over on the YouTube's made a comment. She said that she hadn't been listening in a while, is wondering where Steven's at. While I search for this, I figured it'd be a good time to kill time while I do this at the same time. Long story short, in October, October, November-ish, we kind of went on a small holiday, as it were, hiatus thing. Both day jobs had to get day jobs, and both of them were, it ended up where collectively they didn't mesh. Actually, for most of, to the end of last year and most of this year, up until about a month or so ago, Steven was actually having to work 2 jobs. So scheduling just couldn't link up. So that's what it is. We're still friends. Hell, I went with him not too long ago. We went to go check out a house to possibly do some stuff. So we're still friends. Nothing's changed. We don't hate each other. He would be here, I think, if everything went like it should, but he's taking a very much needed rest. He may be back one day, might not. A lot of that it depends on y'all. Not so much the begging, so much as it is it's going to take a little bit more growing, and everything before we can talk about him possibly coming back. Because he's, not to give too much of his stuff, but he's the only one who works in his family, so or in his house. So being the sole breadwinner, paying bills and taking care of 5 kids is a little bit more important. 4 kids, I'm sorry. 4 kids. No, she's not pregnant. 4 kids is a little bit more important than, trying to do this show right now. So there you go. Everything is fine. He's fine. The family's fine. It just, he needed to take a wee bit of a break. And like I said, he may come back. He might not. And I couldn't not do this. So here I am. I am doing this, hoping I am doing all of it well. We'll see. We shall see. So I have some heartbreaking news. It's a real tragedy, really. No one saw this coming. This was kind of done out of the blue. This is going to come as a shock, I think, to a lot of you, most of you, all of you, actually. I would think it would be a shock. I could be wrong. I would ask that you use and give this as much of the respect that it is due in this trying time. The Anarchist, a coffee shop in Toronto, Canada, that functioned on the pay-what-you-can system, sadly will close at the end of the month after slightly more than a year in business. Gabrielle Sims Fewer, the owner of The Anarchist, said in an expletive-filled announcement on the company's website that he appreciated the opportunity to experiment with, quote, living and working in ways that don't enthusiastically embrace the pure misanthropy of capitalism, end quote. He blamed the failure of his anti-capitalist business venture for the lack of, quote, seed capital. I'm sorry. That's just too funny to me. It really, you're anti-capitalist, but it failed because you didn't have capital. Ta-da! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a very sad thing. He blamed the anti-capitalist venture for lack of seed capital from ethically bankrupt sources, which left him, quote, unable to weather the quiet winter season or to grow in the ways needed to be sustainable long term, end quote. Quote, The Anarchist has been a huge success in every way I hoped and has given me so much inspiration and education that I plan to put to use in future projects. F the rich, F the police, F the state, F the colonial death camp we call Canada. Solidarity, end quote. This is what he told his customer. Sims Fewer, which again I find his name ironic, previously wrote in a frequently asked question page that he, quote, or his pay to what you can pricing scheme for drip coffee was meant to make coffee more affordable, admitting that the model gradually lost him money despite the hope that the losses would be counterbalanced by more expensive items. Quote, I hate how everything in specialty coffee is so inaccessible to working class people and inhospitable to everyone but white upper middle class. That's also why I continue to scrutinize my prices and look for opportunities to lower them. Maybe when the shop has a couple more workers allowing us to make significantly more drinks per day, we will be able to do an across-the-board price cut, he had written on his website. The entrepreneur also apologized for the fact that he is a, quote, white cisgender man, by noting he is also queer. I don't know how you can be cisgender and queer at the same time. Well, no, I'm sorry. I take that back now that there's supposedly the distinction and everything else. And vowing to hiring people outside of, quote, his particular intersection of privilege. Quote, the best thing I can do, or I can think to do, is hire people who aren't white, cisgender, heterosexual men. Make them equal owners. Follow their lead in making the place less white, male-centered than the industry standard. That's what I'm working towards. Well, he was working towards. Beyond the apparent lack of access to capital faced by the anarchists, the businesses in Canada have been severely impacted by government lockdowns and vaccine mandates over the past 3 years. Sims Fewer announced at the coffee shop's social media last March that proof of vaccination would be required for dining in the restaurant. Other posts included a depiction of police officers hung by the neck around under the slogan ACAB, as well as the statement which read, quote, the Queen was S and should have died sooner, end quote. Obviously a reference to Queen Elizabeth, who served as the monarch of Canada and other commonwealths of the realm. The Anarchist is not the first small business founded on explicitly leftist principles to recently fail in spectacular fashion. Mina's World, a coffee shop in Philly, known for its LGBTQ brand identity, shuttered last year after employees revolted against the owner and demanded that they, quote, redistribute, end quote, the company and its resources. A social media page called the Mina's World Workers, end quote, started posting accusations against the ownership, claiming they had subjected workers to, quote, manipulation, abuse of power, exploitation, anti-blackness, ableism, and other charges, summarized in a list of grievances. So, sadly, one less coffee shop in Canada, in the world, actually, where you could go in and pay for what you wanted or as much as you wanted. It didn't matter. I'm shocked, actually, that it didn't take off, that it didn't go anywhere. My heart goes out to all the workers and the owner. I understand what it's like to be unemployed, what it's like to not have a job, and I sympathize. I truly do. On that note, you can go to American Pride Roasters Coffee, get some amazing coffee, flavored coffee, anything that you could think of, even the coffee-flavored chocolate drops. Some amazing stuff. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. They do not support this show. They do not sponsor this show in any way. But if you want good coffee, I'm just saying, there's an alternative. Canada has now lost a coffee company, a coffee cafe, I guess. I don't know what you call it. So to make amends, to fill that void, go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Check them out. Flavored coffee, regular coffee. You want a Keurig, you want it in a bag, you want whole bean. Doesn't matter, whatever you want. They've got virtually everything there. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. You won't be sorry. I promise you that. That's for sure. So, I think it was last week. I mentioned, it might have been the week before. I don't know. How North Carolina, my beloved North Carolina, had been in a place where they had put their own abortion bill up on to be voted on. It was vetoed by the wonderful governor we have here, Governor Roy Cooper. It was vetoed again by the houses. So his veto was vetoed. So it's in play. There's nothing that can be done now. The thing is that liberals love Europe. They think the continent is better than America. They apologize for us every chance that they get. I mean, think about Barack Obama back in 2009. A few months after he took office, he went to France, and one of the first things out of his mouth was he was sorry for the United States. Remember that? The left cites Europe as the ideal for abortion law. They claim that Republicans want to send women back into alleys with coat hangers and no. So it's no surprise about the reaction to the North Carolina's legislature's override of the governor's veto for the bill to ban most abortions after 12 weeks. Roy Cooper actually said, quote, North Carolinians now understand that Republicans are unified in their assault on women's reproductive freedom. We are energized to fight back on this and other critical issues. This is what he told CNN. White House Press Secretary, the Karine Jean-Pierre, in a statement called the law, quote, a dangerous bill that is out of touch with the majority of North Carolinians and will make it even more difficult for women to get reproductive health care that they need, end quote. One, I would like to just stop and think for a moment. I find it fascinating that somebody who's never been to our state that I know of, who lives in the mess that is Washington, D.C., and is entwined and all that stuff, has the mitigated gall, the unmitigated gall, not mitigated, it's unmitigated gall, to be able to say whether or not a bill is in touch with North Carolinians. Ma'am, you're not a North Carolinian. You don't live here. You don't know. I'll tell you one thing that I know as someone who does live here. North Carolina deals with the same problems, that every other state deals with. The capital and whatever if there's another second or third major city that's in that state, those are the ones that are most heavily leftist leaning. And the more rural you get, the bigger you spread out, the more the areas you go, the more you find out that most people don't agree with that kind of stuff. Here's the thing. North Carolina is now far more aligned with Europe than it is with China or North Korea. European countries are far, far more restrictive than many states in the United States when it comes to abortion. According to a Mississippi lawmaker who wrote a defense for on a ban of most abortions after 15 weeks, said, quote, the United States is one of only 7 nations in the world that permits non-therapeutic or elective abortion on demand after the 20th week of gestation, end quote. Continuing on, in fact, 75% of all nations do not, 75% of all nations do not permit abortion after 12 weeks of gestation, except in most instances to save the life or preserve the physical health of the mother, end quote. 75%. Most of Europe cuts off elective abortion at 10 to 12 weeks. Germany and Belgium go to 14. After that period, many countries require 1 or 2 doctors to agree it's necessary. It's necessary. It takes doctors saying that this mother, this pregnant person, their life is in danger if they abort. I don't agree with even that because I think that's a little, because how many times have doctors been wrong? How many times have doctors said, oh, no, you're not going to make it. This is not going to, and it turned out to be completely wrong? Quote, the United States finds itself in the company of China and North Korea as some of the only countries that permit elective abortions after 20 weeks. This is not progress. The time has come to recognize as much. This was according to the Mississippi officials defending their law. Again, remember the clip I played in the beginning, as goofy as it sounds. The value we place on human life is the mark of progress. They just back that up. For the record, no less than the liberal Washington Post. Get off my screen. Sorry. Said, quote, had the, quote, fact checkers. It ruled in 2017 that the data backed up the claim, quote unquote, that, quote, the U.S. is one of only 7 countries that allow elective abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. That was according to the Catholic News Agency, wrote in 2021. The other 6 countries, China, North Korea, Vietnam, Canada, Singapore, and the Netherlands. Isn't it great to be in that kind of company with China, North Korea, Vietnam, and Singapore to a degree? A study released by the Charlotte Lozier Institute in July, quote, found that 47 out of 50 European countries, independent states, and regions analyzed either do not allow elective abortion or limit elective abortion to 15 weeks or earlier, end quote. Just three permit elective abortions past 15 weeks, which is exactly what Mississippi was trying to get. Quote, no European nation allows elective abortions through all 9 months of pregnancy, as is effectively permitted in several U.S. states. And America is one of the only small handful of nations, along with China and North Korea, to permit any sort of late-term elective abortion. That was according to the report's author, Angelina Nguyen. I'm sorry, I always mess that up. I can never get it right. Nguyen. I can never say that right. I apologize. So just remember that next time somebody tries arguing with you, telling you, no, we need to be more like Europe. Well, we are. States are becoming, and North Carolina is not the only one to do this. Lots of states, and a lot of them, a lot of states are taking up the mantle and are making these changes. But, can't talk about that. That's not to say, that's not what we meant by being like Europe. We want the free stuff like the Europeans get. We want free health care. We want free this. We want free that. We want free childcare. We want everything to be handed to us on a plate so we don't have to do anything. To quote lyrics from one of my from a song I've heard, free should be what you are, not what you pay. I would much rather be a free human being with the ability to make the decisions for myself and for my family as I see fit, as I see as I deem them necessary. Let's put it that way. I would rather be able to have that and pay out the nose for anything and everything than to sit here and be constrained and to be a slave to the state. Because I would, and I don't know why anybody else doesn't think like that. It bugs me. It really does. So I as I mentioned a second ago, I accidentally deleted the window that I had meant to keep open, and so now I'm just having to settle. No, I saw this, though, and I'm like, oh, we'll do this one instead. Florida teacher was under investigation for showing a movie with gay characters to students suggested Tuesday that parents lose the rights over their children when the children attend public school. You catch that? That the moment you sign your children up for public school, parents lose rights. I would argue that that's a load of crap in and of itself, because if I don't feed them after they've started attending school, then I get in trouble. That's neglect on my part. I am a bad father. How? Oof. According to a report, the Florida Department of Education and Hernando County School District are investigating a fifth grade teacher, Jenna Barbie, for showing to her students the Disney movie Strange World, which features a gay character. School officials allege that Barbie did not get approval from administrators before showing the movie. Shannon Rodriguez, a school board member and parent, explained at the May 9th school board meeting why she believes it was wrong for Barbie to play the movie. Quote, "It's not a teacher's job to impose their beliefs on a child, religious, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of the above. But allowing movies such as this to assist teachers in opening a door, and please hear me, they assist teachers in opening a door for conversation that has no place in our classrooms." End quote. Speaking to CNN, Barbie, which I don't know why I like saying, but I do, said parents like Rodriguez are, quote, ignorant, unquote. Even more shocking, she suggested that parental rights do not apply in public school. Quote, "What she's missing," referring to Rodriguez, "and what these parents are missing is they're not in the school system. That just shows me that she's ignorant and has not come and volunteered at all, because these conversations, these doors, they're open. These students have one-to-one devices." End quote. Speaking of parental rights, Barbie declared, quote, "Those rights are gone when your child is in public school system, because there are students talking about these things," end quote. So because other kids are doing it, it's okay. Parents don't have a right to say anything about it. Yada, yada, yada. Quote, "It's where they get 90% of their socialization for the day. And we can't shut down every conversation every child has," end quote. The only reason, Barbie, that these kids are talking about it is because it is in their face. It is because of Disney putting out shows that you make these kids watch, Strange World or whatever the hell that was called. It's only there, and they're only talking about it because teachers like you and other places are pushing this stuff on these children. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I never had conversations like this. Albeit I grew up in a little bit different of a situation than probably most of y'all. I was homeschooled my entire life. Having said that, I didn't have conversations like that. None of that entered my mind at all. I didn't know what homosexuality or anything like that was until I got into my late teens. Actually, it was closer to 17 years old. And the only reason I got that down was because I'd made the decision to go into the Navy. And all I got was a bunch of gay jokes. You know, YMCA and all that jazz. Thank you, Village People. I'm glad the music started playing, because I could have gone on this one for a while. So there you go. Saved by the Bell. I know a lot of you are happy about that. Thank you for hanging out. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure you share it with a friend. If you haven't already, please, wherever you see this, wherever you hear this, leave a review, write, share it, do something, comment about it. The more interaction we get from you guys, the more we get circulated, the more we can get circulated, the faster we can grow. Because it's without you guys, I can't do it. All I can do is sit here and try not to babble and get stuff mixed up. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.